Hi, and welcome to Get In, We're Going Healing. I am your host, Tovah. So this week I want to share some stuff and I want to talk about mostly the idea of living an authentic life. But before we get started, I just like to start this little prayer that I like to do. We talked about surrender. We've already talked about some of those things. I like to open up things by asking the universe to help me get the message across that I want to say. So here's how I do this. I start with, Dear universe, thank you for being everything that you are. Thank you for giving me all of the gifts that you've given me. Thank you for all of the lessons, all of the blessings, all of the hardships, all of the things that brought me to here. Help me say what needs to be said and help people hear what needs to be heard. So whatever message needs to come through, comes through to those who need to hear it in the way they need to hear it. Brightest blessings. Amen. So now that we've got that out of the way, let's get started. So what do I mean by living an authentic life? What I mean by that is living a life that is for you. Living a life that is true to who you are. Now, this is kind of a loaded issue. If you are listening to this podcast or watching this episode, there's a good likelihood that you do want to be your true self. You do want to be your authentic self. Maybe you don't know how. Maybe you already do know how. Maybe that's why you're here, for more spiritual content. And maybe this is new to you, and maybe you don't know how to be you. Maybe you don't even know who you are. Some of us, most of us, before we've gotten to this part of our journey, didn't know who we were. We were a collection of ideas, stories, expectations that other people put on us. We are not truly ourselves. We are who we think we're supposed to be. That might sound big if this is new to you. Okay. And it might sound scary. I don't mean to scare you. I'm sorry. But I do want you to understand that you are your own self. So let's start with that concept, the you in you. So each of us is our own person. You see this very strongly when you see children, when you watch young children play before they have been conditioned for anything yet. A child just is who they are. They say what they want to say. They do what they want to do. They are authentically themselves. They laugh at things when they find them funny, even if other people might think it's rude. They don't know that yet. They don't have all of those things put together. They laugh when something is funny. And usually when they're small, it's farts. I'm being honest. My child thinks farts are hilarious. Do adults find farts funny? I do. I think it's pretty funny. We all fart. It's just part of being human. And it's pretty funny. It is. But we've been conditioned to be told farts are not funny, that it's not mature to find farts funny. But for real, it is. Farts are funny. Okay, it just is. We take ourselves so seriously. Children don't. They are just who they are. All the time, they are just who they are. It's us who condition them to let go of who they are, to be what society or what culture or any of those other things tell them that they need to be. But they start out just as they are. And we started out that way too, all of us. That's part of being human. We start out being who we are. And through being who we are then conditioned by other things to forget who we are, to meet obligations, to be who we are expected to be. But that's not necessarily who we are. So when I talk about the you, I mean the you, okay? I mean the you that maybe other people don't get to see. Maybe the you in you is buried so far deep that no one else has ever gotten to meet that you. maybe that part of you is reserved only for the closest of people in your life. And maybe they're the only people who get to see that. And maybe not even them. Some people don't even show their partners the true version of themselves. They've buried their real selves so far down under the expectations that they don't know who that person is. So that's a big one. I want to share with you something that I found when I was trying to figure out who I am. Okay. Trying to figure out who my authentic self was when I realized that I didn't really know who myself was. One of the things that I found that helped me find myself. Hold on. All right. So I found it right here. So I recorded this in my journal on December 9th of last year. I went through a big change in self last year. I think I mentioned it before. My birthday last year, which is coming up pretty soon. So almost a year that I've been going through this crazy awakening, this crazy awareness that I'm having of myself. Last year, December 9th, I found an article. I was looking for ways to really find out who I am outside of the conditioning of all of the things that I've been told of who I am, trying to figure out myself. And I found this article that said, discovering who I really am. Number one, what or who would you be if you knew you couldn't fail? If you knew you could do anything, be anything, and you wouldn't fail at it, if you were guaranteed to succeed, who or what would you be? No limits. Okay, no limits. Nobody's saying you can't do that. You don't have the money. You don't have the skill. You don't have the insert anything. It doesn't matter. If there were no limits and you couldn't fail and you knew that you were automatically going to succeed, sorry, it's making me a little emotional just saying it. Who or what would you be? What would you do? Think about that. Who do you really want to be? What do you really want to do? Okay. How about number two? What is your 90-second personal elevator speech? Think of it as making a new friend. Now, I'm not real big on this one personally because I feel it's too limiting, but that's how I feel about it. That's who I am. I don't like to be limited in by it has to be in this thing and only in this way. I like to just be free of who I am. But if you were to make a new friend and you only had like a couple minutes to explain yourself or to introduce yourself, how would you do it? Now, interestingly enough, many people introduce themselves and identify themselves as their career. And I hear that a lot when I meet people, and I used to do it too. When my life was consumed as being a massage therapist, my first thing was, oh, I'm a massage therapist. I'm a mom. But that doesn't define who I am. Those are things that I do, but that's not who I am. People define themselves. I'm a nurse. I'm a teacher. I'm a factory worker. I'm a mold maker. I'm a security guard, whatever it is, but you're not that. That's a job that you do, but that's not who you are. Who are you really? Do you know? Have you taken time to figure that out? 3, what are your personal core values? Things that are important to the way you live your life. Now, this kind of goes a little bit back to, I know I reference a lot of Pixar movies, and I'm going to reference another one. With the movie Inside Out, if you've seen it, and if you haven't, let me explain a little bit. The character Riley, the story is the thoughts and emotions inside her head. So the whole story is taken from the character of Riley and then the emotions inside her head. And each emotion is an individual personality type inside her head. And she has core values. She has core islands, like individual islands that are made up of core memories. And essentially those are her core values, things that are very valuable and important to the way that she lives her life. Okay, one of them's like Hockey Island, because hockey is very valuable and important to her, and Family Island and Goofball Island, and Honesty Island. And those are core values. Honesty is a core value for her. Family is core value for her. Goofiness, being silly, and laughter is a core value for her. Hockey is a core value for her. Friendship is a core value for her. What are yours? What are your core values? What are the things that are valuable and important to you that really, 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 really matter to you? I can tell you family is big for me. Big, 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 big. Having a family where I can just be myself, be authentic, share my ideas and my values with my family without being pushed down and told this is not the way it's done. There is no way it's done. My partner and I just talked about this, that we decided that we are going to parent in the way that works for our family, not based on what somebody has said is how you're supposed to parent, but what works for us, what works for our child, for our lifestyle, for our family. What works for us, not what works for someone else, what works in our family. Same thing in our relationship. There's these ideas of what a husband should do based on gender roles. There's an idea of what wives should do based on gender roles. There's society expectations. There's these ideas that partners are supposed to, you see it in sitcoms, that partners are supposed to hate each other once you get married, that you're the old ball and chain, and all of those things. Who says you have to live that way? Who told you? Those are the models that have been modeled to you by the media, but does that work for you? Is that really the life that you want? I doubt it. I doubt that that's the way that you want to live. I doubt that that brings you happiness and joy. Why not find the rules that work for you and your relationship? That might help better. Number 4, what makes you genuinely happy? Genuinely happy. So that brings a smile when you don't even realize it, that your face is just smiling. Your insides feel giddy and happy. What makes you feel genuinely, truly happy? Do you know? When was the last time that you were genuinely, truly happy? When was the last time you did something that truly made you feel amazing? Not because someone else did it. Not that someone brought you something or did something for you, though that might be part of it. But when was the last time you did something that made you feel really good and really happy? What was it? If you don't remember and if you don't know, it might be time to look into that. And the 5th one, if money were no object, how would you live your life differently? If you knew that you could have all the money you wanted, okay, all the money that you needed, if everything was provided for you, how would that be different than the way that you're living your life now? Now, I'm not saying that that's, I'm not trying to come from a place of privilege or anything like that. That's not what I'm getting at here. Okay. The idea is not to say, well, money is an object and, there's going to be limitations. That's a limiting mindset. That's not what I'm asking here. I'm not asking you to look at what's preventing you from being this way. I'm asking you, if in a perfect world where money was no object and you didn't have to worry about the finances, what would you do differently? I'm not saying you have to fix it now, but think about that. What would you do differently? So when I talk about living an authentic life, what I mean is using those elements. Who are you? Who are you? On the inside, who are you? What do you really want? What do you really want to do with your life? Who do you really want to be? Who are you actually? Not just who you want to be, because who you want to be is a bit of a trap. Okay. That trap is trying to tell you it's another mask. It's another a form of an identity, that a costume you're putting on to be what you think others want you to be or how you should be. I'm not asking for that. Who's the genuine self underneath all of the costumes? Who's the real self underneath all of the clothing and the makeup or the non-makeup or any of the rest of those things? Okay, who is the real, true self underneath that? That's your authentic self. That's your real you. Now, there are limitations to being that, and we'll get to that in just 1 minute. What I want to bring up about the authentic life is this. When people are on their deathbed and nurses talk to people at the end of their lives and ask them, what is your greatest regret? What do you wish you would have done differently in your life? People don't say, I wish I would have worked harder. I wish I would have made more money. I wish I would have been more famous. When it's the end of your life and you're looking at this life that you're living right now is coming to its final chapter, more than often than not, the most common response is, I wish I would have lived a life that made me happy. Ooh, that gave me chills right there, just saying that. A life that makes you happy. Happy. Not a life that makes you money or stability or popularity or made your parents happy or made your boss happy or made your friends happy or made someone else happy. Living a life that makes you happy, that makes you feel good. Okay, now there are some traps in here. Okay. We often think that what makes us happy is if other people around us would change. Now, I've talked about this before, okay? I've brought this topic up in different episodes about it's not you, it's not other people that need to change, it's you. It's your perspective that needs to change. It's your expectations that need to change. Trying to change other people to get what you want will not work. I'm sorry, but it won't. It seems like in the moment, if only my partner listened to me more, if only my partner did what I asked, if only my partner understood me more, if only my children listened to me more, if only they did what I asked, if only my boss would treat me better, if only my this, if only. Those are asking everything outside of you to change to make you better. That's not how it works. It would be easy if that's how it worked. It would be nice if that's how it worked, but truthfully, that's not how it works. It works by changing your inside. Your inside. You have to change on the inside. You have to drop all of the other things and heal you. And that's what this whole show is about. That's what all of this information is about, is you becoming that authentic you. Now, I've talked about it before, and I'm going to throw it out again because I really do think that it's very helpful. Okay. How to Do the Work by Dr. Nicole LaPera. Okay. Recognize your patterns, heal from your past, and create yourself. Now, there's no affiliation with this at all. She doesn't even know I exist. It's not about that. She doesn't even know me. I don't know her. There's no connection there. It's an amazing book. She's a holistic psychologist. You can follow her on Instagram. You can follow her on Facebook. She shares a lot of the information from the book on there. She also has a new podcast, the Self-Healer's Soundboard. You can find that as well. And it's all this stuff. It's healing yourself. Okay. It's letting go of all of this stuff that stops you from being your authentic you, stops you from hearing your actual authentic voice. The criticisms, all the things that people have said to you and made you believe about yourself, that's stopping you from being your you. What do I mean by that? Okay. I started taking singing lessons online because we live in this amazing digital world where you can find absolutely anything that you want on the internet. You can learn anything you want. The information is out there if you're willing to look. I Loved singing when I was a child. Loved it. Sang all the time, made me feel good. Now, there's some science behind why singing makes you feel good. It tones your vagus nerve. Your vagus nerve is responsible for it's one of those things that you can't control necessarily. It's an automatic thing, but it controls your mental state. It controls your heart rate. It controls your digestion. It controls that fight or flight reaction in you. It controls that sort of stuff. Poor vagal tone. Your vagus nerve is your 10th cranial nerve. So you've got 12 cranial nerves in your head that come out through your spinal column or through your brain stem into your spinal column, into your body, and moves out into different stuff. Your vagus nerve is your 10th cranial nerve. So it does all those things that I mentioned. When you spend a childhood with a lot of fight or flight responses, you end up not toning your vagus nerve very well. It ends up with a very poor tone, which means you are easily agitated into a fight or flight response. Fight or flight, and freeze. Freeze is another one. It's not just fight or flight, it's fight or flight or freeze, where you just stop. You just freeze. Okay. This is a conditioned response, usually from relationships, childhood, external sources that impact our internal selves. Poor vagal tone ends up with all of these fight or flight freeze responses. And they also contribute to that inner critic chatter that tells you that you are not worthy, you are not good enough, you can't do it, you'll never be able to do it because someone told you that. Someone told you that. Someone told me that I was not a good singer. And it got drummed into my head that I can't sing, that I'm not a good singer. And I consistently looked for information that backed that up, that I was not a good singer. And whenever I convinced myself that I could do it and I had a setback, then my inner critic said, see, they can see that you're not a good singer because you're not a good singer. Is that true? No. Am I the world's best singer? Probably not. But does that stop me from wanting to sing? No, because singing makes me feel good. Singing is one of those ways that you can tone your vagus nerve and improve the tone in that. Singing, vocalizing, making those vocal cords move and tone can help improve the tone of your vagus nerve. Deep breathing is another way that you can tone your vagus nerve. So is yoga. So is anything mindful. Martial arts. Mindful martial arts, not just kicking and punching and all that stuff, but being aware of the motions being aware of your body as you move, that can increase your vagus nerve as well. Meditation increases your vagus nerve tone. There's lots of things, and she goes over it in this book. Chapters 4 and 5 are all in vagus nerve tone. And it's amazing. Singing actually increases your vibration. So that goes into our chakra talk as well. Let me just get more comfortable here. That gets into our chakra talk as well, where we talked about chakras and energies, and we get into talk about frequencies. And when your frequency is low, you generally feel pretty. To feel good, singing is a great way to increase your frequency, to raise your frequency, to make you feel better. My friend Ashley knows all about this. We talk about this all the time, that sometimes when we're just in a mood and the universe says, oh, you need to get out of this funk you're in, putting on music you like and singing actually will make you feel better. Truly. Try it. Next time you're in a mood and you don't feel great, put on music that makes you feel good and sing with it, dance with it, feel it, and let it go, and just be silly and goofy, and let your inner child come out. Let your inner child, that your authentic self, let that come out and just be, dance, sing, enjoy, and you'll find your mood improves greatly. Your outlook, your perspective improves. Okay, it's big. It's big. It helps me all the time. It's one of my go-tos all the time. So something else that I have started doing as well, I've started taking art classes. I've long believed that I can't draw, and I don't know who put that idea in my head. I couldn't even pinpoint an individual person that put that idea in my head, but somewhere along the line, I compared myself to others and found myself lacking. And I decided that I couldn't draw. I was not an artist. I have no drawing ability. But that's not true. I can see art in things. I've just always said I can't draw. Well, what's stopping me from learning? I have the internet. I can go to YouTube and follow free drawing classes on YouTube and learn to draw. So while my art isn't awesome yet, it's not really about it being amazing. Nobody's asking for award-winning stuff that's going to be put on the wall and shown in an art gallery. That's not it. It's about expanding beyond what you think you are. It's expanding your horizons to be something different. It's telling yourself, this isn't necessarily who I am. And I can enjoy art for the sake of art. And I can learn to draw if I want to. I can learn to play the guitar if I want to. I can learn to sing if I want to. I can learn to do anything if I want to. There is nobody stopping you. When I was a kid, I spent a lot of time in the library. I was, for lack of a better term, a bookworm, nerdy, geeky. I loved reading. I always have. I'm a big reader. I love reading. And I spent a lot of time in the library as a kid, enough that they kind of knew me. All the librarians knew me. And every once in a while you get a new librarian. Now, I was young at the time. I wanted to explore absolutely everything. My mother got a papyrus paper from an image. Her friend had gone to Egypt and brought back this image for her. And in the background was an Egyptian tomb with writing on it. And I asked what it meant, because that was the kind of kid I was. I wanted to know what it meant. And I was told, oh, it's just some story. But I wanted to know what it really meant. So I went to the library and I asked the librarian, can you show me some books on Egyptian hieroglyphics? Because I wanted to be able to read what was written on the hieroglyphics on this paper. And I might have been about maybe 11 or 12-ish, somewhere around there. And they directed me to the children's section with a book on how to write your name in hieroglyphics. I was like, cool, that's cool. Problem with that is that doesn't help me translate this that I'm trying to translate. Can you show me the reference desk book on hieroglyphics? And so they sent me to the reference desk, and there's the reference librarian. And I asked her, I'm looking for a book on hieroglyphics. And she says, she looks at me at my age and says, oh yeah, there's one in the kids section. And I said, no. I want the reference book, the adult book on hieroglyphics. And she says, well, you're pretty young for that. So right there was an assumption made by an adult that I was not capable of consuming the content that I was trying to consume because I looked young. And I said, no, I'm fully aware, but this is what I'm looking for. Can you please show me where to find it? So she showed me and I sat down and I read. But the point of that story is to share that there's nothing stopping you from learning something that you want to learn, regardless of what age you are. There's nothing stopping you. If you want to learn something, learn it. Then I had to rely on the reference desk, because at that point, at that age, the internet wasn't a thing yet. Now that the internet is a thing, who is stopping you from learning what you want to learn? Who is stopping you from Googling that and finding articles and videos and links and whatever to teach you the thing that you want to learn? You're not limited anymore to going to a university class and taking art school because that's all that's available. You have the internet. I'm taking a class from someone from Mexico speaking Spanish and with English subtitles, but teaching drawing composition. I'm following it from somebody in Mexico. Who would have thought that was going to be a thing? But here it is. There's nothing stopping you from living the life that you want to live if you really want to live it. Nobody's limiting you. The only limitations you have are the limitations you have put on yourself because someone else put them there. But really, if you want to do something, who is stopping you? And you might say, well, my job is stopping me. Okay, I hear you. Okay, I hear you. But are you in the right job? Are you in a job that makes you fulfilled? Or are you in a job that's just making money for somebody else? Maybe you can't get out of that job right now, but who's saying that you can't eventually? Who's saying that you can't work towards your goals, little step by little step? In How to Do the Work, Dr. Nicole references a lot of stuff about making goals for yourself. Setting small goals. It doesn't have to be big goals, okay? You can start with like a little goal, like I want to drink more water in the day. So you set that goal, and maybe you don't do so good in the first day. Maybe that first week isn't so good, but you keep at it and you tell yourself, I'm going to drink a glass of water when I first get up in the morning before I have my coffee. And you keep at that. And when you reach that small goal and you say, hey, look at that, look what I did. I did this thing. It gives you the motivation to do something new. A year ago, I started learning French on the free app Duolingo. Homeschooling started. My son was in French immersion. I don't speak French. I remember learning French in school because I'm in Canada and we're a bilingual country. So French was taught in elementary school and a little bit going into high school. Do I remember any of it? No. Not enough to help my son with his schoolwork and French immersion. I was relying on the teachers to do that. And then the pandemic happened, and then I was homeschooling, and I don't know what I'm doing. So I started following Duolingo, and I started learning French, and I have kept at it. I am at 312 days now that I have been doing this French learning app. And in the beginning, I missed a lot of days. Thankfully, they have a streak freeze where you can keep it, you can not lose a day when you go up on that. But when I started out, I wasn't really that serious into it. But as I kept going and as I kept seeing my streak go better, and as I started learning more and reviewing, even if I only do one lesson, one lesson, I try to do more than that. I try to do about 4 or 5 lessons each night. But if I only do one lesson and get one in there, that's one. That's something. It's an attempt. And now I can actually speak a little bit of French. I can follow my son's homework that's given to him to follow for homeschooling, and I can do it with him and I can translate it. Today he had the word peu, P-E-U-X, and I'm like, what the heck does that mean? Oh, wait, can. So I was able to, and I'm like, okay, let's put it together a sentence. Je peux voir. I can see. He held up a thing. Look, Mom, look what I did. Je peux voir, je peux voir. I can see, I can see. A year ago, I could not do that. A year ago, I could not translate that. A year ago, I could not put together these sentences. But here I am a year later, taking this free app, and I've learned to speak a language that I couldn't do before, much better than I did when they taught it in school, because I could repeat the stuff they gave, but I couldn't put it together organically and actually speak with it. And here I am doing that. I've set myself a goal, and look, I'm achieving a goal, and that encourages me to make other changes. So I started making changes like eating healthier and making the choice to, when I want to snack, choose a banana instead of that bag of chips that I usually go for, or buy trail mix rather than buying sugary junk food and aiming for sugary junk food when I'm in a mood for snacking. It's little tiny changes, okay? I'm not saying overhaul your life, because truthfully, if you overhaul everything all at once, you won't stick with it. Been there, done that. I've done that before. I have overhauled things before, and then I couldn't stick with it because I made too many changes at once, and there was too big. It was too much, and I couldn't keep up with it. Small changes. My partner likes to say, and it's a little inappropriate, but he likes to say it anyway. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. The point in that statement is small changes. Small changes. You're making one small change. You're making the choice that at mealtime, you're choosing maybe one healthy meal a week. Let's say mostly you eat a lot of processed food. So you'd make the decision one day a week, call it Tuesday. just as a day, call it Tuesday. Tuesdays, you decide is going to be a healthy meal. I've got some friends who go meatless Monday, and they make a vegetarian meal on Mondays. Not every day of the week, just one day a week, they make strictly a vegetarian meal. And they make that change for themselves. You can make one small change. And when you make that one small change and you stick with it and you get that boost that, oh my gosh, I did it. I did this thing I set out to do, and look at me, I did it. That encourages you to pick something else. That encourages you to add something else. Now, look at this, I did this thing. I'm capable of doing this thing. I can do another thing. I can do something else that makes me feel good, that makes me feel like my true self. When you make these small changes, you begin to be more authentic. You begin to trust in yourself more. Let's say your goal is to read a book. Maybe you don't read. Maybe you don't get to read very often. So you set the goal, I'm going to read a book. It doesn't matter how long it takes you to read that book. When you finish that last page and you look back and say, I read that book. Look at that self-esteem it gives you. Look at that self-worth it gives you. You did a thing. You set your mind to something and you did it. That's amazing. You should be proud of that. It's amazing. And you did it for you, not for somebody else. You did it for you. Maybe you set the goal that maybe taking care of your body isn't something you do very much. Maybe hygiene is not something that you take a big role in. I know myself, I'm terrible at remembering to wash my face at night before I go to bed. That's been a thing for me. I've had a difficult time through my own different issues that I have that I've been working through. Making sure that I wash my face is not a thing that I'm a high priority for. So I make that attempt, and I tell myself at night when I change to my pajamas, okay, I'm going to wash my face. I'm going to put moisturizer on my skin. Do I do it every night? No. There are nights I don't have the energy and I pass out and I'm just like, forget it. But I keep trying. And the next night I'm like, you didn't wash your face last night. You got to do it tonight. And I hold myself accountable. I hold myself accountable for the choices that I've made and making sure that I do them. Meditation is another one. I am now at 112 days, I think, of meditation, of straight days of meditation. Before it was sporadic. I've been using the same app for like 4 or 5 years. It was sporadic. It was here and there whenever I had time. Now I make the time. I've rearranged my day to make the time to have meditation in the morning. And honestly, I feel much better doing it. It's good for me. It's good for my mental health. It's good for those around me. I don't just do it for me. I do it for those around me, that when I make these changes for myself, everyone around me benefits because I feel good about myself. I feel better about myself. I feel more authentic in myself. And that's something that is important. Your life is your life. Okay, it's yours. Don't live it for other people. Yes, have other people be a part of your life, but don't live your life for the purpose of other people. Don't give your life away to an employer. Don't give your life away to what your parents want you to be or what your friends want you to be or even what your spouse wants you to be. You are you. You are your own person with your own likes and your own dislikes and your own dreams and your own goals and your own values. You are your own person. You are not an extension of others. You are just yourself. And that is great. That is amazing. You are you. If you have low self-worth and low self-value, no one's going to be able to fix that for you. It's called self for a reason. You have to face that. Again, that's why the book, How to Do the Work. I keep recommending it. I know, and I'm sure you're tired of hearing about it, but of all the self-help things that I've ever found, this is the most comprehensive. This is most like what my therapist was doing with me when I opted for therapy, which I'm fully aware a lot of people, that's not an option. There are huge hurdles in the way. And we talked about that with Stephanie on cognitive behavioral therapy. And a lot of the stuff she talks about in cognitive behavioral therapy, that's what goes on in this book. It's becoming aware of your patterns. It's becoming aware of your thinking. It's becoming aware of your conditioning and making a decision to drop it. little by little. As you become aware of it, you're able to let it go. And the more that you're able to let that go, the more you're able to find your authentic self, your authentic voice, your authentic you, who you are, the true you on the inside. All I want for you, fellow humans listening to this, to be you. I want you to be happy. I want you to live a life that has meaning for you, that makes every day worth existing. Is every day going to be awesome? No. As you work through your stuff, you're going to have rough days. I still do. I still have rough days. I still have days where I just feel very down and depressed, and I feel like where I maybe have been in this negative state for a few days, and I kind of feel like, well, this is my life now. But then I remember I have the choice to make changes. Sometimes I need a little boost, and I will say I love tarot. I love tarot cards for that. I love the messages that come through in the tarot. I believe tarot is a way to just connect with your intuition, regardless of what I was raised to believe that tarot was witchcraft and witchcraft is evil and blah, 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 blah. Again, external conditioning. I have always felt called to divination. Even as a teenager, I felt called to divination. I did automatic writing. I did Ouija boards. I did tarot cards. I've done crystals. I mean, that was all things I was drawn into when I was young, and I still am. That's still a part of who I am. But tarot cards, I find, are great because they help you connect with your inner wisdom. Now, there are tarot readers that I like to follow on YouTube, and I'm going to give a shout out to them. They don't know I even exist, but I'm going to shout them out anyway because I think they're awesome. I love Shanetta's Divine Tarot. I think Shanetta her readings are right on point. She was the first pick a card tarot reader I found on YouTube, and I found very helpful. The next one that I could not do without, the stories that she shares, I feel are directly connected to what spirit wants me to know in the moment. When there's always a story she shares, and there's this moment of click where my brain's like, that's what you needed to hear. Spirit says that message right there that she's sharing with you right now, that was the message you needed to be hearing for what you're dealing with right now. Chloe Taylor, I think she is fabulous. You can find her on YouTube. You can find her on Instagram. She has a podcast as well. She is amazing. I love her tarot picker cards. I think they are supremely helpful. Those are the two biggest ones that I follow. I also from time to time will follow Gem Goddess, but Shanetta and Chloe are my go-tos. They are who I read with all the time for whatever's coming, whatever I need to know, guidance from inner voice, guidance from inner spirit, inner child messages, all that sort of stuff. I love that stuff. That might not be for you. That's cool. That's cool. I'm not saying it has to be. That's what's for me. We're talking about authentic selves. We're talking about your authentic self. So if that's not for you, it don't have to be. It doesn't need to be. That's not for you. Okay. I'm sharing what works for me. I still learning to read tarot cards. I recently took a course by Biddy Tarot, B-I-D-D-Y, Biddy Tarot, on learning how to intuitively read your own cards instead of going to the books to find out the meanings. I'm still working on that. I'm still trying to trust myself on that. I'm trying to give up the books and give up the meanings. I'm not there yet. I'm trying though. I have my own issues. Okay. We all do. We all have our own issues. I got my own issues too. But that's something that I find very helpful for guidance, especially if I'm not sure what decision to make, especially if I'm deep in my ego self, protecting my wounded inner child. When something happens and my wounded inner child goes, and then ego goes, how dare you? And gets all righteous about it. And then I don't know what choice to make. I don't know how to honor my authentic self. So tarot cards are one of the ways that I do that, to honor what message I need to hear. And more often than not, it's a message that I needed to hear. I call it whatever you want, but I do feel that tarot cards connect in with your deeper self and the vibration that you need. Because I have journals filled with tarot readings that I do, and just messages from the universe that come through when I need to hear it. Let's say my spouse and I have a fight and I got the ego voice and they're going, yeah, I can't believe he said that. How could he do that? Blah, 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 blah. You should talk to him and tell him that he shouldn't have said that. And he made you feel, made you blah, 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 and all that yappa, 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 yappa that my ego likes to do when it's caught up in a story, because my feelings got hurt and my inner child got hurt, got poked, and ego says, how dare you? And then it comes up with a story. And then I want to go tell my partner about this whole story and like defend my side. And normally I'll pull out the tarot cards and I'll shuffle them and ask, what message should I go talk to him? And I often get the Two of Swords. And the Two of Swords means no. Right now is not a good time. You will not be heard. Your message will not be heard. And you need to re-examine why you feel the way that you feel. Do a deeper dive. Find out why you feel that way and figure it out on your own. Do it yourself. Excuse me. And that goes back to the message I said earlier about it's an individual self, not an external. More often than not, when you have a problem with something, especially if you've got ego voice going, it's not an external problem with the people around you, even though they might have triggered something. It's an internal thing. It's a you thing. It's a you have to sort through it. And these are all opportunities for you to dive deeper. These are all opportunities for you to look a little deeper into why. And that's why I keep recommending how to do the work, because in doing that, she teaches you how. Hence, how to do the work, how to do the self-work, how to do the deep work that you need to do to examine that ego voice and to learn to step out of that ego voice. And to say to your ego voice, mine's named Rochelle. Okay, Rochelle, I hear you. Yeah, that was a pretty crappy thing to do. Yeah, that sucked. That hurt. I'm sorry. That sucked. But we can get past it. We can handle it. As I tell my son, you can do hard things. You can handle the big feelings. Yeah, they're big feelings and they sure feel really big and they sure feel overwhelming, but you can handle it. You are more capable than you believe you are. You are very capable. You can handle this. You can do this. You are fully capable of doing it. And you are fully capable of living your life authentically and living a life that makes you happy. You can make changes, little changes towards your bigger goals. You can be who you want to be. You are not limited to be who someone else told you that you have to be. You can be you. Let's say some faiths believe in multiple lives, reincarnation. I know I do, but not everybody does. So let's say you believe that this life that you are living is the only life that you get to live. Okay, let's say when this is over, regardless of what you feel happens after this body dies. Okay, whether you believe in an afterlife, whether you don't, none of that, that's not the point. Okay, what I'm getting at is, if this is the only life you get to live right now, these people that you are living with, the family that you have, the partner that you have or don't have, the children that you have or don't have, the job you have, the friends you have, all these different things. This life with these people is the only one you get to live this way. That's it. Okay. When you get to the end of this existence, this experience you're having is over. If it is the only life you get to live, if you do not get to come back and try again, if you believe that at the end, this is it, your life on earth is over, what are you waiting for? Do you really, at the end of your time, want to look back and say, well, I did my duty. I did what I had to do. I did what other people told me I should do. Or do you want to say, I lived a life that had meaning to me, that gave purpose to my life, that gave me value, that helped other people, that made me feel like a valuable person? And if you want to live a life that makes you feel valuable, who's stopping you? This is your life, yours, not your partner's, not your parents, not your bosses, not your friends, not your siblings, nobody. It's yours, yours. What do you want to do with it? What do you want to accomplish? What do you want to do? Whatever it is that you want to do, find it. Find your spark, find your purpose, and do something with it. Make this life worth living. Make it valuable. Make it worthy of the energy you put into it. Don't let other people stop you from living the life you want because they aren't living the lives they want. I mentioned it before, hurt people hurt people. People who tell you that you aren't capable of doing something feel that way because they haven't followed their dreams. They didn't do what they wanted to do. And so they're saying, well, I couldn't do what I wanted to do, so you can't either. Says who? Sorry for them that they didn't live a life that made them feel valuable and authentic, but that's their problem. They made those choices. You are not forced to have to walk the path they walked. Your path is yours to take you wherever your path is meant to take you. Wherever you are meant to go is your path. Everyone else is living their own life on their own path. And to tie into that, remembering that your path is your path, but everyone else's path is also their path. So the mistakes and choices they're making are on them. It is their path to walk. Yours is yours. You can't make someone move farther along on their path because you are moving on your path. You can't make someone see rocks and sticks on their path if they are unwilling to see them. They are meant to trip over those rocks and sticks because in falling, there will be a lesson for them. You cannot make people do anything on their path, and you should not be worried about where their path is going because their path is going wherever their path is going. Your path is going wherever your path is going. The only thing you need to worry about is walking your path and following the guidance that's out there from the universe to help you do that. Tarot cards, music, meditation, other people that come into your life, people that circulate in, people that can teach you things. And I don't just mean teaching you things like teaching you how to draw or teaching you how to sing or teaching you how to play guitar. I mean people who can share information with you, either through their own experiences or through the things that they say or do. And you can say, you know what, I'm sorry, I don't believe that. I don't agree with you. And you are allowed to not agree with people. You are allowed to say, I don't agree with you. That's the beauty of free will. You are allowed to choose. You don't have to take somebody's word for something if you don't want to. If it doesn't feel authentic, you don't. You don't have to. It is your life. And I know I keep saying it, but I want you to understand this. You are a human being. We are all human beings living on this planet, existing and being. Who said you have to do anything in a way that doesn't feel right for you? Because someone else did it? Because that's how it's always been done? Who's to say that the people who made it always that way were right? Who says that the person who wrote the holy book that you're following knew what the heck they were talking about? They're human. It's not like the books were written by spiritual beings. Maybe the message was given by spiritual beings, but the message that was written down with pen to paper, that was written by a human through a human lens, through a human understanding. As not to say that that was written down accurately or that the message was filtered through properly, or once it was translated, that it was translated properly, or even that the person who wrote it down didn't cliff notes it. What if they cliff notes it? What if they only gave you a partial thing and said, we don't need the rest of that information. They don't need that. Maybe you do need that. Wouldn't you rather get the information directly from the source rather than through other human beings that maybe messed it up? I'm not here to dispute your religious beliefs. I'm not. I'm here to ask you to question and decide for yourself. Trust your own intuition. Trust in yourself. One of the apps, now this may not be available for everyone because I got to admit it's a little on the expensive side, but if you have the means, one of the apps I have found very helpful in connecting with intuition is this app called Synctuition. Synctuition. It's essentially using binaural beats that connect with your brain waves and help your brain waves move up and down. Now, the science behind it is the idea that your brain sends data on different frequency lengths, and that you can match those frequency measures by sound. And binaural beats are given with different frequencies in a different ear that affects your brain waves and adjusts them. Now, there is science that backs this. They can prove this being via MRIs and things like that. Your brain wave, or I'm sorry, not MRIs. Yes, MRIs and EKGs, and like map the brain waves. So binaural beats affect your brain waves and allow your brain waves to fluctuate in a certain way. So if you have certain tones in your binaural beats, it can allow your brain waves to match those tones and to put you in a certain mindset, a certain frame of mind. So Synctuition uses binaural beats and music to help open your intuition, to help you guide you into an experience. So in the beginning, they start off with helping you relax, and then they have the binaural beats play in, and you're just left to relax into it. And whatever images come up in your mind, whatever messages come up in your mind is what comes up. There's no talking, there's no guiding of any kind other than just the music and the beats, and allowing your mind to just expand. And whatever message comes through is whatever message comes through. It allows you to connect with your deeper intuitive self. I have to say, I haven't done it in a little while because it's about 20 minutes long and I haven't found the time in my life at this point. But I was doing it for a long time, and I will be going back to it. And it just helps you connect with your deeper intuitive self. Anything you can find that connects deeper intuitively is big. In Soul, the zone, in the movie Soul, in the zone, when musicians, artists, tattoo artists, they showed athletes, when you're in the zone, you are connected to your intuitive self. You are not taking in input from the external world and making that create your identity. You are your true, genuine, authentic self. It's why it can move you to tears. Music, that when you are connected deeply that way, when you were in the zone, it can move you to tears because you are connected so deeply to your emotional self. These are all things that just help you connect with you. So to sum it up, because I know I gave a lot of information, to sum it up, live your life for you. Live a life worth living. When you reach the end of your life, when you are looking, if it's a long life or not a long life, it doesn't really matter. When you are at the end, realizing that this is the end, be aware that this life that you are living is yours, and whether or not you are living it in a way that feels right for you, making choices that work for you so that you can be yourself and be your authentic, the you inside of you. Let go of the anger. Let go of your anger. Sorry, we've been watching a lot of Star Wars lately, working our way through all of the movies. We've done all the prequels. We've done all the episode 1, 2, and 3. We started episode 4 last night. So I'm seeing a lot of like the Emperor and Emperor Palpatine. And if you've caught the Star Wars episode, you know we're big Star Wars fans in our house. Let your anger flow through you. I can feel your anger. I can feel your hatred. Let the dark side in. You don't have to let the dark side in, folks. You don't have to sit there in your anger and your hatred. You don't have to sit there in your misery and your depression. And I'm not talking toxic positivity, okay? I'm not talking this, everything's fine, everything's okay, even when it's not. I'm talking about working through the stuff so that you can find the positive in life and not just ignoring the negative, but acknowledging the negative and then releasing it, letting it go, choosing not to hold on to it like a security blanket. You don't have to wrap your anger around you like a cloak of protection. You can let it go. Someone hurts you, you can let it go and recognize they hurt you because they are hurting, because they don't have that sense of self and that love for self, and they cannot give love for others if they cannot love themselves. People can't love others if they don't love themselves. And I'm not saying, I've seen these memes going around saying, stop saying you can't love other people if you don't love yourself. It's just it's preventing people from being able to find love. No. See, this is again, it's projection. This is again, is this negative story type, this ego coming in and wrapping around the story and making it into something it's not. Okay. What that actually means is if you can't truly love yourself, all of yourself, if you can't connect with yourself, let go of the old things, let go of the conditioning that someone else put on you, how are you going to let go of the conditioning someone else has on them? How are you going to accept them for who they are if you can't accept you for who you are? I'm not saying you can't love someone, but I'm saying that that love is not quite the same as proper, authentic love, because you can't accept the negative parts of you. So there's a pretty good chance you're not accepting the negative parts of the other person either. Do you have to let people treat you badly? No. You can put your boundaries down. If someone treats you badly, you can full out say, listen, I refuse to accept being treated that way, and set a boundary. Tell them where the limit is. Tell them this is not okay. You cannot treat me this way and I will not allow it, and choose to walk away. You don't have to let people treat you that way, but also don't treat yourself that way. Set limits and boundaries on yourself. When you start telling yourself, oh, I'm stupid, I'm ugly, I'm this, I'm that. No, I will not allow you to talk to me that way. I am better than that. And I know that I am. I know that I have value. I know that I have worth. I know that I am worthy of love. And I refuse to let you talk to me that way. Talk to yourself in the mirror if you have to. I do it. I totally do it. I stand there in the mirror and I tell myself, and I'm not talking just encouragements of put the stickers all over. Some people do that and they have the affirmations. That's not what there's that. And I'm not knocking that. There's value in that, especially if you're in the beginning of your stage. There's value in that. I'm talking about talking to yourself as if you were talking to your friend or someone outside of you. I tell myself all the time, I look at myself and say, hey, you know what? I am proud of you. I am proud of the changes that you have made. I am proud of the healing that you've done. I am proud of you. Today wasn't a great day. Today wasn't a great day. You let things get the best of you and you had a rough day. That's okay. Tomorrow is a new day and we'll start over. It's okay. I love you. I still love you. Even though you didn't follow the way that you needed to, even though you feel that you were lesser than today, I love you and you are valuable. I tell myself that stuff. You can't wait for someone else to tell you that. You have to have it for yourself. Tell yourself that. Look in the mirror and say, I love you. I love you. You might have had a rough day. That's okay. I love you. Nothing you can do will ever make me not love you. I love you. Even when it's been a rough day, even when you've betrayed your values, even when you've let other people treat you badly, it's fine. Tomorrow is a new day. I still love you and you are still worthy and you are still valuable. Talk to yourself as if you matter. Start loving yourself that way. How are you ever going to say to someone else, I love you even when you mess up? I love you even if you don't act the way that I want you to. I love you even though you've had a hard day, if you can't give that to yourself. How are you going to have compassion for someone else when you can't have compassion for yourself? You can't extend that out if it's not part of you. How are you going to give it to someone else? You have to love yourself. You have to be true to yourself. You have to be authentic to yourself. Make your life worth living. Love yourself. Be authentic, connect with your deeper self and do the work. I'm not shaming anybody here. I'm pleading you. Do the work. You deserve it. You deserve to be happy. You deserve to live a life of value and authenticity that's not defined by somebody else's expectations. You deserve to be your authentic self without someone else telling you who you have to be. That applies to everything. It applies to gender. Whatever gender you decide that you are is you. You. Nobody tells you what you have to be. You are you. If you are any of the LGBTQ+, that's who you are. Don't let other people define you. You are valuable regardless of what you are, and you do not have to label it. If you are not ready to give it a label, you don't have to. You don't even have to, even if you are ready, you don't have to label it. You don't have to get someone else's approval on whether or not you fit into the LGBTQ2+ category properly. I saw a meme that I shared on Facebook, and it's valuable, and says, a bisexual woman is still a bisexual woman if she's dating a man. A bisexual man is still a bisexual man if he's dating a woman. because society has said, if you're bisexual and you're with the opposite gender, then you must not be. If you're bisexual and you're with the same gender, then you must not be bisexual. You are still bisexual regardless of what you are. You are still transgender, whether you have transitioned or not transitioned. You are still you. You are hetero if you are hetero. You are who you are. None of the things that other people tell you define who you are. You are you, because that's who you are. Your skin color does not define you. Your hair type does not define you. Your eye color, your IQ, your job, your relationship status, whether you have children or not, none of those things define who you are. Those are all external things. You are the you that is on the inside, the real you, the authentic you, the one that likes what you like and likes junk food or doesn't like junk food, likes horror movies or doesn't like horror movies, likes rom-coms, likes whatever it is that you like. That's your thing. That's you. That is you, the authentic you. And that's awesome. Be you. Live your life authentically. You deserve to live an authentic life that honors who you are. So on that note, I'm going to pull two cards. I'm going to pull the Dear Self prompt cards. These are both from the I Am Everything company, the I Am Everything media company. I'm going to pull out the Dear Self card because this is a good journaling thing. And I have been using these for journaling myself to remind myself of the love that I have for myself. So I'm going to pull one here and see what comes up. All right, so let's see. This one is number 52 in the card deck. And it says, my work will always be to understand myself more deeply. Oh, if this is the perfect card today. My work will always be to understand myself more deeply. I am always reaching for a more intimate connection with myself. And if I choose, I want to share that connection with others. I want to understand blank about myself. I want to see myself from a different perspective. I want to see myself as blank. I want to know blank about myself. And I am ready to define my life based on my understanding of myself. Man, if that's not the card for living authentically, I don't know what is. Like, universe, you knew today this was the card. I want to understand myself more deeply. I am ready to define my life based on my understanding of myself. Beautiful, beautiful card. And because I love these cards, I'm also going to do one of the I Am Everything cards because these are amazing. And that one just fell out. So this is the card, hitting the microphone. This is the card that we got today. Number 21, I am happy. I take control of my happiness. When my happiness depends on others' actions, I am at the mercy of things I cannot control. Instead, I choose to cultivate consistent happiness by focusing on the things I love about myself. I am happy. Boy, that's another perfect card from the universe today. Truly, truly the right card for today. I am happy. I take control of my happiness. I live authentically. When my happiness depends on other people's actions, I am at the mercy of things I cannot control, my external world. I am allowing my external world to control me. Instead, I choose to cultivate consistent happiness by focusing on the things I love about myself. Wow. Wow. Because that is nothing if not living authentically. Finding the things that you love about yourself and focusing on consistently making choices that help to grow the love you have for yourself. That's what happiness is about. That's how you will be happy, by learning to connect with who you are and stop listening to the voices outside of you. Stop letting everyone else outside of you tell you who you are, because they don't know who you are. You know who you are. Learn to connect with what makes you happy. Learn to connect with understanding yourself more deeply. Connect deeper with yourself and find that life of authenticity. Make your life worth living. Dear humans, you're awesome. You're awesome. I love you, and I think you are amazing. And I really hope that you find that love for yourself too. So whatever it is you do, whatever it is you get done in your day, whatever it is that you do in your life, please, 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 please start to connect with your deeper self. Start to connect with the inner self. Start to connect with who you are. And if you have trauma, if you have issues, if you have beliefs that are stopping you from being your true authentic self, please do the self-work. Please do the work to heal from those things so that you can actually live authentically and happily. There is a such thing as happily ever after, but it's not like the fairy tales. No one's going to come and rescue you and make your life better for you. You have to do that. You have to let go of the things that are holding you back. You need to cut loose that baggage that's dragging you behind and causing all that drag and heaviness. Let it go. It does not serve your highest purpose. It does not make you your best you. Let it go. Cut it off. Cut the ropes, break the chains, cut the things that are holding all of those heavy things to you. Drop them like a pile of dog poo. Drop it. You don't need it. You don't need that. That is not going to help you live your life authentically. It is not going to help you connect with the love of yourself and your inner self. It's not going to create a life of happiness and joy for you. Let it go. Somebody hurts you, let it go. It speaks more about them than it does about you. Let it go. Dear human, I'm not going to let it go for you, though. I'm not going to let it go. I'm going to keep talking to you until you figure out who you are and you love yourself the way that you should. And you love yourself the way that I love you. Because you are an awesome human being. You deserve to be here. You deserve to live a life of happiness. So until next time, fellow human, find more love for yourself. Find more love for others. Find more love and joy in this world. Make it a life worth living. Connect with yourself. I love you, dear human. Until next time, love and light.